वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. I offer my obeisance to the divine in you. The topic today is a sublime topic. It is a very profound topic. I am in no way qualified to speak on this topic, and actually it is something that cannot be really explained with words. It's called Devotional Service. In Sanskrit, it's called Bhakti. It is designed for those who want to take it easy. Devotional service is not the same as devotion. As the name says, devotional service is about serving. And service can only happen when there is surrender. Or true service anyway, for that matter. Until one surrenders, it is not possible to be a devotee. Because, think about it for a moment, you're not going to surrender to anybody at your own level. You're going to surrender to somebody who's higher than you, or who you at least perceive to be higher than you. Devotional service is designed to bring out the real you, the true you, in the most sublime manner, so that all your psychic imprints, also known as vasanas, leave you. Bhakti is designed so you don't have to go through rigorous regime. Excuse me. It is designed so you can be you. It is designed so you surrender and you seek the refuge, or your refuge, in the one who's ultimate. And at that moment, you inculcate your devotional sentiment. You build it so that you always stay firm in that sentiment, so that you start to become one with the one you worship. But devotional service in the bhava, in the sentiment of duality, is not designed to become one with your God. It is only ever designed to serve your God. The relationship is more like master, servant. I am my master's servant. If the servant is serving a good master and stays course and serves with utmost faith and purity and honesty, the master takes care. The only thing servant has to do is be a good servant. So devotional service is designed so you don't try to be equal to your master, nor do you try to be one with him. You are just happy serving. the kindest of all sages of all times in the history of Sanatan Dharma have been great devotees. The ones who preach the language of love, the ones who preach the religion of service, the ones who led by example, were not really the greatest yogis from the point of view of yoga. They were the greatest devotees. The path of devotion is an easy one, relatively speaking. All you have to do is put your arms up and call out for the Lord. He's not going to come if you do just that. There is little more to it. And that more to it requires that you do so with purity. That you really believe that, and you do so with firm conviction. Your God is not going to disappoint you if you do that. However, if you are a devotee at convenience, if you become a devotee when convenient, and other times choose to stay away from your God and do not seek His refuge, if you only call out for Him when you are down, that is not being devotee. That is not being a devotee, that is being a selfish devotee. You know, when you're working for a company, let's say, and you're a permanent employee, when you're a permanent employee, you're committed to the company, to your employer. And that commitment inevitably gives you certain benefits. Those benefits may include leave, medical leave, annual leave, paid leave, and stuff like that. If you are a casual employee, you may get paid by the hour, but you don't get the benefits. If you're a contractor, you're only there in there for a specific term. Similarly, there is a devotee who's a permanent devotee. There's a devotee who's a contractor. And then there is a temporary devotee. The temporary devotee, the casual worker, is more like an on-call devotee. At times he feels a need. He starts to, because he has the need or she has the need, they start to call out for the Lord. But the company is not really interested in casual employees. Or are they? Is your employer interested in casual employees? Companies are interested in permanent employees in the first place because they are treated more like a family. So when you become a permanent devotee of your God, you develop a strong bond with your God. And with that bond comes all the benefits. And that is what you have to remember. Occasionally you can call in sick. Periodically you can take days off as part of your leave entitlements. But you get out of bed every morning to drive into work and give your whole day devoted to work. Often the whole day you're not really working, but you're at work. A permanent devotee has that mindset. they are working for their supreme employer. The contractor devotee sets for himself or herself short-term goals. They will say, for the next 40 days or for the next 60 days or for the next 3 months or 4 months or a year or any number of time, I am going to do this. That can yield results because that requires some tenacity, that requires some determination to see it through. But once again, there are no benefits. I would like to give you an example of the most fundamental requirement of devotional service. Just envisage a small child, a toddler, who's playing at home. He's at home and he's playing in his own home. And next to him, in the kitchen, his mother is working. She's busy doing some stuff. She's busy cooking. The child starts to cry. He's too small, too young to explain properly. So he cannot really explain his needs. But clearly he wants his mother, generally speaking, and he starts to cry. Or he's in some trouble. If the child isn't crying out loud, the mother is going to watch for a few minutes before she leaves everything that she's doing and go and see the child. She's just going to listen to the crying of the child. If the toddler keeps on crying, a couple of minutes later, the mother's going to go up to the toddler and probably either console him or give him a pacifier. Often, the child's going to start sucking on the pacifier and be quiet very soon. If that doesn't happen, the mother thinks maybe the child is hungry. She may, at that point in time, give him a bottle of milk or something to eat, maybe a biscuit or something. If the child goes quiet, all is hunky-dory. If the child doesn't go quiet and keeps calling out for the mother, she then goes back to the child and tries to ascertain if the child is cranky or grumpy because of some problem. She's going to make sure everything is okay, he's not hurt anywhere. Once that's done, maybe she's going to turn on the TV for him, okay, watch some cartoon or maybe give him some, play stuff to play with. If the child goes quiet, the mother resumes her work and let the child be busy. However, if in spite of all these, the child continues to cry, then the mother doesn't even take a moment and she drops everything and she comes running to the child and picks him up in her arms. Can you guess what am I getting at? This is what happens with the devotee and his deity. When devotee becomes desperate for the deity, for his God, when he is no longer interested in anything that his God may bestow upon him, it could be pleasures of the world, it could be material gains, it could be name, fame, wealth, you name it. If the devotee keeps on rejecting all those one after the other. There comes a time when nature or God, in this case certainly deity, the God, the specific form you are worshipping, thinks to himself, this is a genuine devotee. Therefore, I must manifest my form before my devotee, because my devotee doesn't want anything now. The child only wants the mother now. So the cosmic mother, the divine mother, or Krishna, any name you want to give him, doesn't take a moment then. He does not take very long at all. Think about it, when a child is crying, imagine you go to a shopping mall and you have a toddler with you, your own son, and he goes missing. And he's looking for you and he's crying really loud. And people around him try to lure him, try to pacify him, but all attempts fail. At that point in time, your child is only thinking about you, the mother. He is not thinking about anything else, no chocolates, no candies, no balloons, no games, nothing. Only you. Look at that concentration for a moment. Look at that desperation. Look at that longing, that craving, that wanting the mother. When you as a devotee become that crazy for your God is going to manifest his form in front of your eyes. And I would like to say something here which in my mind is very important. All these things that I'm saying are not based on any bookish knowledge. This is my first-hand experience, my direct experience, and you can experience it as well. If you are willing to be the devotee, if you can cry out for your Lord, if you can think about him, sing his glories and talk only about him, read about him and seek his refuge and only his refuge, and when you have the firm conviction that he is going to be your soul savior, not this world, nobody in this world, not nobody at all that you know except him, that devotion is going to transform you in a way that is unimaginable, in a way that is inexplicable. I cannot explain it. I cannot put it into words. It is indescribable, but it is possible. And I have experienced it, and you can too. But all you have to do is become a pure devotee. I'm reminded of a small example which beautifully illustrates the point of surrender. This example was given by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, a great saint. And if I'm not wrong, it is quoted in his book called The Gospel of Ramakrishna. And he quotes this example in that book. One day, or let's say once upon a time, up there somewhere in the abode of Vaikuntha, that's where Lord Vishnu lives, according to the scriptures. So Lord Vishnu is sitting there, and his consort, Ma Lakshmi, is just in his company, and she is caressing and kind of massaging the lotus feet of the Lord. And Vishnu says to Ma that, please stop for a moment, stop right there, I have to go. Where do you have to go? She thinks that to herself. She does not ask that question to him at that point in time. So he immediately rushes out. But no sooner did he get to the door than he returns. So Ma asks Lord Vishnu, what happened? That sudden getting up and coming back? He says, one of my devotees was chanting my holy names. And as he was chanting my holy names, he was so engrossed in my bhava, in my devotional sentiment, in my devotional mood, that inadvertently he starts to walk on the fields of some landlord who had freshly sowed seeds on that ground, in that ground. And as he sees my devotee crushing the newly formed those seeds, he gathers a group of people, all the other people working in the field, and they start to go out from a devotee with sticks in their hands to give him a beating and to stave him off the field. And she goes, oh, that's terrible. But why did you come back so quickly? Ma Lakshmi asks Lord Vishnu, why did you come back so quickly? Why did you not go all the way to help your devotee? He said, well, I didn't have to. She said, what do you mean you didn't have to? He said, well, he picked up a brick himself to throw back at those who were approaching him. I don't know if you got the gist. You see, Lord was there to help him. But because the devotee, rather than showing complete surrender, made his own attempt, he got deprived of his deity's vision. Because he decided that I must try to save myself, his deity, his God, did not turn up. Because the deity, the God, is thinking the objective is to save the devotee. If the objective is fulfilled without him having to turn up, well, so much the better. So much better, that is. And that's something you have to keep in mind. A lot of the times people wonder and they ask me then, how can we surrender? Does that mean we stop doing karma? Does that mean we no longer worry about what's going on? Does that mean that if we are drowning in the water, we don't have to swim? No, it does not mean any of these things. And I really cannot explain what it means. You have to discover your own truth. You have to discover your own devotion. You have to delve deep. Because believe it or not, all these are silly questions. And if I tell you next time you're drowning, don't make any attempt to tread the water or swim, are you actually going to do that? As soon as you're in the water, you will automatically start swimming. So I'm not saying you should not save yourself or you should not work for yourself. Of course, you cannot relinquish karma. You have to do your karma. But surrender is knowing that whatever happens in your life, it's His blessing. When you start to look upon every event, every occurrence, every circumstance, every situation in your life as His divine blessing, one thing's gonna come up and sprout in you. I very often use this word sprout. And that is contentment. A very sublime feeling of contentment is going to engulf you. That is the first sign of a devotee. A devotee is always contented. When you have contentment, does that mean you don't have desires? Or does that mean you don't have a course of action you would like to follow? You can still be contented even if you have desires, and you can still have a course of action, a plan of action, or a karmic path to follow. But contentment means to be happy with whatever outcome you get. To being detached to the outcome of your karma is dispassion. It's called vairagya, or indifference. That is the second most important sign of a devotee. A devotee is living in the world, but he is not really interested in the world. Imagine there is some celebration going on at home, some party, and you waited whole year, the whole 365 days to be at that party. But when that day comes, you are called in at work, you have to be there to attend to this important piece of work. You just cannot miss it. You have to be there. And it's not that you have to do the work, you are the manager. Your team is doing the work, but you have to be there because you are the one accountable for it. Now you may be at work, but you're thinking about the party and how much you planned the whole year to be at that party, and how much you now are missing it, and how you're really practically doing nothing at work. You're just being there and people are doing it, but you have to be there. That is how a devotee lives. He's living in the world, but his mind, his heart is thinking about the lotus feet of his Lord. And that is what a true devotee is. Contentment, dispassion. When you have these two, you are a good devotee. The third comes automatically, that is happiness. Then you are, I'm not saying you are rejoicing in the world, but somewhere deep in your heart, because you're contented and you are dispassionate about what's going on, you feel at peace. And one who is peaceful is automatically happy. It is not possible to be happy without being peaceful, and it is not possible to be peaceful without being happy. They are almost like synonyms, if you will. Once that happens, the fourth sign of a devotee is desperation. A devotee is always desperate for his God. Always. Without fail. Like the child crying for the mother. A devotee is always desperate. And that desperation shows through in his mood, devotional mood, in his devotional sentiment. He may not cry at the death of a loved one, but he will promptly cry at even hearing the name of his Lord. If you look at the greatest devotees across the world, this was one thing common among all of them, bar none. They could cry for their Lord. They could cry for the deity. In fact, that's what they did most of their life. And that is what happens when you get firmly established in devotional service. You automatically become dispassionate. You automatically become contented. You automatically become peaceful. You inevitably feel the desperation. So either you inculcate, either you build those signs in you and they will lead you to the path of true devotion, or you just become desperate and start calling out for your Lord, and your desperation will increase over time, and that will bring all the other things in you. It's almost like imagine having an iron weight and a magnet. Whether the magnet goes to the weight or the weight goes to the magnet, the effect is the same. Is it not? So whether you bring the signs and become the magnet for true devotion, or you work towards being a true devotee because of your bond with your deity, and the signs will automatically get attracted to you. But if you're going to do neither, you're going to stay apart. Neither the magnet nor the iron. And that is going to be an unfulfilling life. I would like to cover a topic very quickly. How important it is to be religious, or how much do religious practices play a part in one's devotion? The answer is, if you are carrying out any activity, you could be sitting in a temple, or you could be sitting in a casino. If you are doing everything for your deity, your activity becomes spiritual, and your activity becomes religious. When you are doing a religious activity solely from the point of a ritual, with no bhava, that is not a devotional activity. That is not devotional service, and that is not a spiritual activity, and that is not going to cleanse you, and that is not going to purify you. You will stay where you are, you will stay the way you are. I have to go back to, once again, the example of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He worshipped Kali, the form of the cosmic mother, in the temple. But he did so with his own sentiments, not in the most ritualistic fashion. Once established in that sentiment, in that devotional mood, then he simply carried it on to every other activity he would do during his lifetime, basically. It's very simple. Surrender, seek refuge, be moral, be pure, be disciplined, discover your own bhava, your own truth, and cry out for him, and cry for him. And that is going to do everything. That is going to accomplish everything for you. It's that simple. It's no rocket science. You just have to be his, and he'll be yours. It's a reciprocal arrangement. If you don't need him, he doesn't need you. If you don't want him, he doesn't want you. If you call out for him, surely, maybe he'll listen to you. But if you become his permanent employee, if you become a permanent employee in the company of God, you will only ever get promotions. That's how he works. He may give you projects where your skill, your aptitude, your talent, your knowledge, your experience may be tested or will be tested. But if you just stay committed, he's going to give the tools, the authority, and all the rest of it to accomplish the task as well. And when you stay firm, and you do what you have to do, and you stay as permanent employee, and you stick with him through his through his thick and thin, he's gonna bring you to the sea level, the top level. And then you will have a chance to meet him And trust me, he is very, very, very beautiful. He's so beautiful that there is nothing that I know of that can even come close to comparison. It is not possible to explain his beauty. The four-armed form, the two-armed form, the blue light emitting from him, his most glorious ornaments adorned his most charismatic smile. Once you see him, there is absolutely nothing in the world that you would like to see. Nothing. There is nothing. Nothing even comes close. Absolutely nothing. And I hope I said it. Nothing. I'm saying it again. Nothing at all. And why would you even want to pick rocks when you have just discovered the diamond mines? The most attractive, the supremely pure, the supremely beautiful, the most gorgeous, the most enigmatic, the most charismatic, the most beautiful, and the most kind, the most caring, the most sensitive, the most intimate, the most of everything, the most of the most, the supreme. If you can take my word for it, his vision is not only just worth working for, his vision is worth anything. My last breath, I'm happy to give it up for him. He's worth everything everything you've seen, put all that together and multiplied by a figure so large you cannot write on billion pages. He's that beautiful. And if you don't believe me, why don't you experience it yourself? Be a devotee. There is nothing like devotion, and it is only with his divine grace that it is even possible for one to even tread the path of devotion. Otherwise, the one who's doing all the thinking from here is going to simply reject and discard and forsake the path of devotion before even getting on it. Don't make that mistake. Life is a lot more beautiful with your God in it. You have suddenly somebody supreme by your side. Not only that, you feel him by your side. Not only that, you see him in front of you. That's Krishna for you. That's Jagannatha, the cosmic mother for you. That's all I have for you today. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram